What if I told you that one man Os death shaped the entire Egyptian view of the afterlife? This is the story of Osiris, the god who conquered death itself. But before we dive into this thrilling tale, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves. We are a group of historians and archaeologists passionate about bringing history to life. Join us on a journey through time as we uncover the mysteries of our past and share them with you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode. Osiris, the Lord of the Dead. The very mention of his name echoes with power and finality. But have you ever wondered how Osiris, a once living, breathing king, ascended to become the ruler of the afterlife? Why did he abandon his mortal existence to preside over the realm of the departed? To understand Osiris's transformation, we must first delve into his mortal years. He was no ordinary king. Oh no, he was a beacon of justice and wisdom, a true embodiment of Ma'at, the Egyptian concept of truth and cosmic order. His reign over Egypt was a golden age, prosperous and harmonious. The people flourished under his benevolent rule, and all seemed perfect. But amidst this perfection, a dark cloud of jealousy brewed in the heart of Set, Osiris's own brother. You see, Set, unlike Osiris, personified chaos and disorder, and he seethed with envy towards his brother's popularity and achievements. So Set hatched a treacherous plot, a plot that would not only end Osiris's life, but also catapult him to become the god of the dead. Set's plan was as devious as it was cruel. He had a magnificent coffin crafted, a masterpiece designed to lure his unsuspecting brother. Then came the fateful day when Set invited Osiris to lie down in the coffin under the pretense of showing him a gift. But little did Osiris know that this seemingly innocent gesture would be his last. In a blink, Set slammed the lid shut, trapping the unsuspecting king inside. Enraged by his brother's treachery, Osiris struggled to break free, but the coffin was too well made. It was sealed with molten lead, leaving no room for escape. Desperate and suffocating, Osiris's strength waned. Realizing his peril, he used his remaining powers to transform himself into a hippopotamus, desperately trying to flee. However, Set, with his shape-shifting abilities, took the form of a crocodile and blocked Osiris's path. A fierce struggle ensued, a battle between good and evil, order and chaos. But unfortunately, it was Osiris who came out on top. Set, in a fit of rage, struck Osiris with his deadly poison, sending him collapsing into the river Nile. And as if this wasn't enough, Set's cruelty knew no bounds. He ordered his followers to cut Osiris's body into pieces and scatter them across Egypt. With the king's body mutilated and lost, it seemed as though hope was extinguished. But this was only the beginning, for Set's victory was short-lived. In the aftermath of Osiris's demise, his wife, the powerful sorceress Isis, embarked on a desperate search to gather the fragments of his dismembered body. Her quest led her to the most remote corners of Egypt, where she recovered all but one piece, his phallus. Grief-stricken but determined, she returned to the palace with what she had found. There, she performed a ritual of resurrection, using her immense magical powers to reanimate her husband's lifeless form. The spell was cast, the ritual completed, and miraculously, Osiris rose from the dead. For a brief moment, the king was alive again, allowing Isis to conceive their son, Horus, who would one day avenge his father's death. But this reunion was not meant to last. You see, despite being resurrected, Osiris was not truly whole. He was still missing his phallus, the last piece of his mortal form, and without it, he could not remain in the world of the living. Torn between his love for Isis and his duty to his kingdom, he made a heartbreaking decision. He would abandon his earthly existence and ascend to the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, becoming its ruler. Before departing, he gave Isis instructions. She was to hide his corpse in a thicket of tamarisk trees until Horus, their son, was old enough to reclaim it. Then, and only then, would Osiris's spirit finally find peace. With that, Osiris left the world of the living, taking his place among the dead. But what happened to his human form? Well, it didn't end up in the underworld with him. No, it remained hidden in the thicket of trees, buried deep in the earth. And it would stay there until Horus, now grown into a powerful young man, returned to retrieve it. When the time was right, Horus reclaimed his father's body, completing the sacred reunification of the divine king. And this event, known as the Opening of the Mouth ceremony, was a pivotal moment in Egyptian belief. It marked the return of Osiris to his full power and the restoration of order to the cosmos. So why did Osiris become the god of the dead? It wasn't by choice, but by circumstance. He was trapped in the underworld not because he wished to rule over the dead, but because without his complete physical form, he could not exist in the world of the living. But here's the fascinating part. Osiris's predicament became the foundation of the entire Egyptian view of the afterlife. His journey through death and resurrection gave rise to the belief in the Book of the Dead, a collection of texts meant to guide the soul through the underworld. These texts included spells, prayers, and incantations that were intended to help the deceased navigate the perilous journey after death. According to Egyptian beliefs, when a person died, their soul, known as the Ka, would leave the body and journey to the Hall of Truth. There, they would be weighed on the scales of justice against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth. If the heart, which symbolized the person's deeds and was placed on the scale, was found to be pure, the Ka would be allowed to enter the field of reeds, a paradise where Osiris's rule extended. But if the heart was found to be impure, it was devoured by the goddess Ammit, ensuring the deceased would never find peace. Osiris, as the supreme judge of the underworld, held the power to determine the fate of every soul. He was the ultimate arbiter of Ma'at, the enforcer of cosmic order. This belief gave the Egyptians hope, the hope that even after death, their actions in life would be judged and that they could find a place in the afterlife. It also led to a society obsessed with preserving the body after death. Mummification was not just a means of preventing decay, but a way of keeping the vessel of the soul intact, ensuring a smooth journey for the Ka. Every mummy was carefully prepared, every artifact placed within it meant to aid the deceased on their journey. But Osiris's influence went beyond the realm of the dead. As the lord of the underworld, he was also associated with vegetation and fertility. The annual flooding of the Nile, which brought life-giving silt to the fields, was seen as a direct result of Osiris's power over the cycles of nature. He was the god of rebirth, of new beginnings, a symbol of the promise of spring after the winter floods. Even the pharaohs were considered to be vessels of Osiris, with their power legitimized through their connection to the god of the dead. The pharaoh was not just a ruler, he was a link between the living and the dead, responsible for maintaining order not only in the land of the living, but also in the realm of the dead. So you might be wondering, if Osiris ruled the underworld, who ruled the land of the living? Well, that was the role of Horus, Osiris's son, born from the brief moment of resurrection. Horus was destined to become the supreme king of Egypt, ruling during the day while Osiris watched over the night. Together, they formed a divine team, maintaining balance between the realms of the dead and the living. As we conclude this journey into the realm of the Egyptian gods, remember that Osiris's story was not merely a myth. It was a framework for understanding death, a guide for navigating the afterlife, and a source of hope in a world filled with uncertainty. His legacy lived on through the ages, shaping beliefs, rituals, and art for millennia. And as for Osiris, the god who conquered death itself, his journey from a living king to the ruler of the underworld reminds us that even in death, there is purpose. So, did you find this journey through the myths and legends of ancient Egypt enlightening or entertaining? Which aspects of Osiris's story resonated with you the most? And what other tales from ancient mythology would you like to explore next? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments section below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating stories from the past. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through time. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.